I think to be queer, you have to be political. And yeah, I don't know how you can exist considering yourself a queer person and not know that your body is a site of politics, that your love is a site of politics, and not see how other bodies are being politicized around you. Hi, I'm Rev. I am 22. I live in Manchester. I work in community engagement for a theatre. Then on the side, I also DJ, I perform. I'm DJ Big Boobs, that's one. And in drag, I'd say Reverend, yeah. So the term queer, to me, uh, I think it's a very personal thing, how people claim it. I think there's a long history with that word, so I only can say what it means to me and how I use it. I know some people don't like it to be used as a general term, but for me and how it relates to my identity, queer is a big umbrella label to slap on me that sort of denies all other labels but solidifies that it's not straight. So I came out like the day after the Pulse shooting in Orlando, and I just remember seeing that, and like I think I was maybe like 12, 13, 14 maybe, young teens, and I was just filled with anger, and no one around me, because there wasn't anyone around me, was as angry, and just like I was enraged, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like on my phone, like not even tweeting, I was like posting on like a story, I was posting on my Snapchat, posting on Instagram, like I was enraged, I was disgusted, and it was like, it was so isolating, and that was a horrible experience to feel as a young queer person. And so I came out of anger, and I was like, I was desperate to find people who would be like agreeing with me. And I remember after the murder of Brianna Guy, Queer Boots had a vigil, and it was like this, it was harrowing, obviously, that day, but there was some comfort in being with other people to mourn that. Being queer is can often be a very radicalizing experience that puts you on the path to empathetic politics, politics of community, politics of care, politics of compassion and understanding, which are leftist politics to me. And I think being queer and being political, I think to be queer, you have to be political. And I think it's strange if you're politically disengaged and you consider yourself queer. Queer to me it's part of it's a liberatory movement to be queer. I think in a personal sense, queer is liberating yourself from constructions of gender, sexuality, if you don't want to be a part of those structures. And queer in the political sense as an identifier, it's understanding and seeing the oppression of others and rejecting any systems that do engage in that. What really drew me to Queer Boots was there was something so amazing that queerness, celebrating queerness, participating in collective queerness could be a cause for good. I think that's also something that influences my drag a lot. Like we think of like the Margaret Thatcher number. It's to like subvert like queer oppression and her like terrible politics for everything else. Like fuck Margaret Thatcher for fucking the miners. You know what I mean? Fuck what you did to the working class people. Like it's an intersectional struggle. Fuck you. So I grew up in Qatar. I was born there. I lived there for 13 years. It is a Muslim country. And the talking point of they wouldn't like you because you're gay. A comedian said it before, but queer people exist in Palestine. So on a queer level, of course, we're not free until we're all free. So if you need to do it for that reason, if settler colonialism isn't enough, there's that. But I think that's not even a good rejection of it. But before I'm queer and before I'm going to police queer politics, I care about genocide. I care about death. If I went to Palestine and someone misgendered me, is that really going to be an issue for me? No. Is the death, the starvation, the famine, the taking away of indigenous land, that's an issue. A miscommunication is nothing when communities and lives and children and wives and mothers and husbands and sons and fathers are being ripped apart. You're going to experience religious hate wherever you go in the world. Let's not just boil it down to Islam. There's Christian hate. I've experienced that when I've moved to the UK, growing up as a queer kid in the Middle East. It's not amazing, but it's also not amazing growing up here. I was able to come out earlier there than I was with people who live right now in Britain. I think something that, as I work in community now, I've been thinking a lot about is there's a time and a place for education on queer politics. When I'm working in a community of people who are disenfranchised from arts engagement, and I'm there and they call me he, that's not an issue to me, because my issue is that the political government have disenfranchised these working class people. And it's also interesting because gender theories, at least with the use of they them pronouns, is a relatively mainstream common occurrence. And I think it's still amazing that someone can look at me and look at what I do and look at how I speak and act and what I believe in and think that is a man. Because it's expanding what their notion of a man is. And isn't that amazing for people in their lives who may look like me, who may be like me, to think that's okay to be a man and be like that? I think that's awesome. And bringing it back to Palestine in a long way, I try not even to engage. I don't like to engage with that they wouldn't like you because you're gay sentiment, because in the nicest way, they don't have to. Because before I will police them for not liking me for they're gay, before we can have a conversation about queer politics and what it means, we need to make sure they're not being killed. To have discussion and education around queer discourse, your needs need to be met. You need to have housing, shelter, food, water, love, security, and people around you who care for you with your community there. And then we can have a discussion. And then we can get to talking about who I sleep with and what it means to be queer, and how queer means to me, and what it means to other people, and what a gay person is, what a lesbian is. Before we can get to all that, before we can get to the personal, we have to address the political. We have to address those oppressive hierarchies before we can talk about what it means to reject the gender binary. We have to make sure you haven't got a settler colonial government trying to commit an ethnic cleansing backed by Western superpowers. Let's address that before we have a go at them for not having legalised gay marriage. And also, simply put, it's pinkwashing. There's academics and amazing people who will talk to you at length, and there's books and articles that can tell you all about how queerness is used as a political talking point. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Don't like me because I'm gay. Okay, I still don't support genocide. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Fuck pinkwashing. Don't use our identity as a tool for your terrible beliefs. And also, gay people who do, oh my God, think a bit. Think a bit. Where is your critical thought? Where are you? Fuck you. There is no justification to support settler colonialism. So obviously and unequivocally, Free Palestine.